Every digital currency before Bitcoin died for the same reason. It had a leader, a founder who could be pressured, a CEO who could be subpoenaed, a company that could be shut down. And every time, the system collapsed with them. But Bitcoin didn't just survive. It solved the problem with a final, almost disturbing masterstroke. It built a financial system that had to erase its own creator in order to live. And if you're trusting this system with real savings, this design decision is the only reason it still exists. And if you own Bitcoin, or if you're betting on the future of digital money, this isn't just history. It explains why one system keeps running while others disappear. This is the final act in a three-part arc. First, we explored the idea of a scoreboard without a referee. Then we learned how that scoreboard works by replacing trust with incentives. Today, we reach the final step. The referee removes himself from the game entirely. Not just a scoreboard without a referee, but a game without an owner. Before Bitcoin, digital money looked inevitable, and then it kept failing anyway. For decades, some of the smartest cryptographers on Earth tried to create money native to the internet, a way to transfer value directly between people, without banks, without payment processors, without permission. And one by one, they all collapsed. David Chaum's DigiCash was revolutionary. It used advanced cryptography to create private online payments decades ahead of its time. But DigiCash depended on one company. When that company failed, the currency vanished overnight. Then came e-gold, a system backed by real physical gold that allowed instant global transfers. Millions used it, billions moved through it, and it died the same way. Regulators targeted the leadership, the company collapsed, the system disappeared, and the pattern became impossible to ignore. Every digital money system had a head that could be cut off, a visible founder, a central company, a physical attack surface. Digital cash couldn't just be software. It had to become something entirely different. It had to become an organism with no head at all. And this unsolved vulnerability collided with the largest financial crisis in modern history, right before something new appeared. In 2008, global financial trust collapsed. Lehman Brothers failed. Banks froze credit markets. Entire economies stood on the edge. And in the middle of that chaos, an email appeared on a tiny cryptography mailing list. October 31st, 2008. From someone nobody had ever heard of, Satoshi Nakamoto. Attached was a 9-page paper titled, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It didn't introduce a new currency. It introduced a new way to create agreement between strangers. Previous digital money relied on central ledgers controlled by companies. Bitcoin replaced that with something radical, a public ledger, verified by everyone, controlled by no one. Transactions grouped into blocks. Blocks chained together permanently. Security enforced by economic incentives instead of institutional authority. The scoreboard without a referee. For the next 2 years, Satoshi was everywhere, writing code, answering developers, launching the network, mining the Genesis block, sending the first Bitcoin transaction to Hal Finney. He was the architect, the engineer, the project leader. If you followed this entire trilogy, you already see the pattern. Every failure came from centralization. Every solution required removing it. So what happens when the final remaining central point is the creator himself? Which creates one of the strangest questions in financial history. Why would someone build a trillion-dollar system and then disappear? By late 2010, Bitcoin started attracting attention. And then something happened that revealed Satoshi understood the system better than anyone else. WikiLeaks announced they would accept Bitcoin donations after being cut off by payment companies. Most founders would celebrate. Satoshi panicked. He posted, WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest. Because he understood something terrifying. Bitcoin's greatest strength was being leaderless, and its greatest vulnerability was him. Because if regulators wanted to stop Bitcoin, they didn't need to attack the code. They just needed to attack the person. As long as Satoshi existed as a visible founder, Bitcoin still had a head. And history had already proven what happens to systems with heads. So Satoshi began withdrawing, less posting, handing control to other developers, fading into the background. December 2010, his final public forum message. April 2011, his last known email. I've moved on to other things. It's in good hands. And then, silence. Not retirement, not stepping down, erasure. This wasn't a historical accident. It was a design decision. Bitcoin transitioned from a scoreboard without a referee to a game without an owner. And that transformation created something almost impossible in human systems. Leaderless legitimacy. Trust moved from a person to mathematics. Satoshi left behind two things: a mystery and a fortune. Roughly 1 million Bitcoin, at times worth over $100 billion. And those coins have never moved. Not during bull markets, not during crashes, not when they were worth millions, not when they were worth billions. Not once. Think about what that means. The easiest way to destroy trust in Bitcoin would have been for the founder to dump their holdings. Instead, those untouched coins became a permanent signal. Bitcoin was never about its creator. It belongs to no one. Which forces the real question: how does the system survive with no leadership? The answer is the same rule from episode 2, replacing trust with incentives. Miners compete to secure the network. They earn rewards by protecting the ledger. Cheating destroys their profits. Thousands of independent actors, protecting a shared system, without ever trusting each other. Agreement among strangers. Not enforced by authority, enforced by self-interest. Bitcoin eliminated the final single point of failure. No CEO to arrest, no headquarters to raid, no founder to pressure. When disagreements happen, the network decides. The chain with the most energy invested becomes reality. Power spreads across thousands of independent participants. Bitcoin became something historically unprecedented, a monetary system without political leadership and without a governing founder. Like gold gained legitimacy through time, Bitcoin gains legitimacy through code. And we can now see the result directly in blockchain data. Over 17% of all Bitcoin has remained untouched for more than 10 years. Hundreds of billions of dollars voluntarily frozen in time. That is not speculation. That is a confidence signal. The rocket is flying without a pilot. The history of digital money is a graveyard of brilliant failures. Every system died the same way. They trusted a person. Bitcoin survived because it removed the person entirely. It began as a scoreboard without a referee. It evolved by replacing trust with incentives. And it completed itself by becoming a game without an owner. Satoshi didn't abandon Bitcoin. He finished it. By disappearing, he removed the final vulnerability and allowed the system to stand on its own rules. And that leaves us with the question that matters most. Not who is Satoshi, but can a financial system survive without leaders? Bitcoin has been answering that question every 10 minutes for more than 15 years. The scoreboard works. The players enforce the rules. And the architect walked away, so the game could never be shut down. No founder, no headquarters, no permission, just rules and incentives. This is one of those ideas that's easier to understand when someone walks you through it. If someone you know still thinks money only works when someone is in charge, this helps explain why that might be changing.